Disclaimer: this series revolves around looking at media and figuring out if they are suitable for children. Regardless of the outcome, it has nothing to do with my opinion on the thing in question. This is less of a review and more like an investigation. Parents and guardians, you've been warned. And please take my information to heart before showing your children the content. Thank you, and enjoy this video. There aren't many shows that last as miniseries as opposed to ones with various seasons meant to continue for months or years. A Cartoon Network program I've seen not long ago is Over the Garden Wall, which consisted of 10 10-minute chapters, and I really liked it. However, it did frighten some folk at the time, not joking around, so this is an excellent first variable for my new series called Is This for Kids? What I'll be doing is taking a deep dive into the media, and my goal is to figure out if it's safe for kids to experience, with or without adult supervision. Might want to have a companion with you, since being by yourself ain't very ideal here. Hey, I'm Owen, the fiction fanboy, and welcome to the premiere of Is This for Kids? Over the Garden Wall. Before I get to the main series, let's look at Tome of the Unknown, the short the show is based on. FYI, you probably didn't see TOTU until sometime after watching OTGW. Anyway, we begin with brothers Wirt and Gregory, accompanied by Bluebird Beatrice, getting tired of all the walking, so they meet a romantic songwriter named John Crops. He allows the protagonist to use the vegetable cart as transportation. I say it like that because, as we all know, watermelons and cucumbers are fruits, not veggies. Misinformation aside, our protagonists reach a city full of dancing vegetable people, hoping the singer finds love, so there's nothing to panic about yet. The crows, despite the dark colors, aren't too scary, at least they're nothing compared to what's coming later on. Once the car was abandoned, the crew uses a goose to travel onward, and that's the end of the pilot. First thing we see in the major mystery adventure is a frog playing the piano narrating, and we see silhouette figures about what to anticipate in the story. Main boys Wirt and Greg are lost, and they encounter Beatrice, a bluebird who can talk, much to a surprise. Next character upon their faces is the woodsman, who temporarily shelters the boys after seeing a tree with a scary face. They're warned of dangers lurking the place, including a creature known as the Beast. When Greg wanders off with his silly-faced rock to find his frog that needs a proper name, he sees a candy-eating wolf that has big, primary-colored eyes and a huge mouth containing fangs, which could have died on account of squeezation by the mill, but instead turned into a dog. Despite some anger, the boys continue their journey to the upcoming portion of the world. Now we're at the Pottsfield arc, and Beatrice officially joined the gang. Once they arrive at the town, we see a turkey at a desk. Kind of random, but hey, it's a cartoon. Yet the real deal is the, presumed to be, pumpkin people. They're alright, nothing wrong with a pumpkin party. It however gets crashed when Greg steps on a small, non-living pumpkin, and the leader sentences the boys to labor work. What chores will they be doing? Harvesting at first, which seems reasonable enough, although they should have been on their guard. It seemed they were literally digging their own graves, though shockingly, they were only freeing skeletons from the ground, who seemed to be alive, and they used the pumpkins to make themselves less frightening to the public. Whether they succeed at that or not depends on your definition of creepy. Either way, the heroes were allowed to go back on the path. Starting off with kinda more of the same, Beatrice thinks Wirt is a pushover who's holding everyone back, and how does the red-hatted chum desire to prove otherwise? Via attending school, with his classmates being animals. The teacher, Miss Langtry, got fed up at one point. She sent Wirt to the Dunce box, and I primitively thought that was extreme, though nah, it's just a prison-y version of those CAP students are given for being dumb or slow at learning. Greg's life with animals is easier because they play together until a gorilla appears. Fun chase ends with lunch, and a sweet song occurs only to be interrupted by the grumpy Mr. Langtree, who then took away the instruments. The boys reclaimed the music during bedtime, and start a concert to earn money for the school. The gorilla turned out to be the teacher's fiancé in a suit, and this one ended friendly this time. Hope you enjoyed that while it lasted, because we're resuming our worries about the beast, definitely making the hayride all the more haunted. Upon entering a tavern, Beatrice is kicked out due to superstition of bad luck. As for the boys, they ask for directions to Adelaide's house, but don't get any. Introductions for the group are made, and the one most vital of recognition is the highwayman with his bizarre ballad and his movements. While Beatrice is mating with a horse, the tavern folk think Wirt is lost because of love, and shortly after that, he was soon possibly persuaded that the woodsman is the beast, with the next meetup being even more convincing. Instead of killing the boys, the woodsman gives another warning. Volca horse Fred gets them out of there, and the real beast wants to know where the younglings went. At the dining room of Quincy Endicott, the boys are pretending to be nephews of him. Why? They need change for ferry tickets. Greg gets a little joyride only for it to end with him revealing he discovered an eerie section of his mansion. Whereas the others search for coins, the little boy encourages a ghost hunt. Beatrice reveals that her family was cursed to be bluebirds after she threw a rock at one, and Wirt had a crush on a girl named Sarah. How have Greg and Quincy been doing? Well, the latter may believe he's losing his mind, though he's legit about Fred's burglary attempt. Turns out, no such ghost existed, only a feud between two people about ownership of the garden. So following the events of things being cleared up, Fred becomes a tea horse, and Greg's reward was 2 pennies, which were thrown into a pool. Nonsense. On the boat, without paying for the ride, our heroes are surrounded by personified frogs. Even Greg's frog is experiencing this. Wasn't long before the guards noticed, and the boys had no choice except to blend in with the band. During the chase, Greg gets his head stuck in a drum. Guess it ain't a pure Time Warner cartoon without some Looney Tunes logic somewhere. Not complaining, since we get another nice melody, leaving everyone happy. The boys may have gotten their cover blown, yet the ride has ended. The frogs start hibernating in the mud, and Beatrice tries convincing the boys to forget about Adelaide. Beatrice thought she was alone on reaching Adelaide, who turns out to be an ill, elderly lady who planned to enslave the boys. We see a gruesome death. Wirt no longer trusts the Boyd, who couldn't explain herself, and the boys continue their adventure without her. As stormy as it might look, it's not quite dark, and the woodsman once again reminds the brothers of the beast, for he wanted to claim them. Alas, much wasn't accomplished. The boys enter what they thought was an abandoned shelter, with Lorna, a young woman, proving their belief false. She informs them of her guardian, Auntie Whispers, leading to Wirt and Greg hiding. Upon Whispers' arrival, she uses a bell to brainwash Lorna into obeying her, whether it be honestly answering questions or housework. Wirt urges Lorna to feel independence, so he aids into getting chores done quicker. Seems a mistake has been made when we see Lorna transformed into a demon. The bell was inside the frog, and the boys commanded the spirit to leave Lorna's body, truly having the lass freed. Joyful reunion. Nevertheless, the beast wouldn't rest until the boys were in his grasp. Notwithstanding the fact the guys are sailing across the lake using an outhouse, Wirt loses faith in getting home and claims Greg as too childish. Bedtime arrived, with the younger boy supposedly being taken to Cloud City, dream or reality. Charming as the place appears to be, Greg seeks knowledge on leadership, and we're presented with a song, again. Cheerful tone ends once the North Wind's gate gets knocked on, and he initiates rampaging the city. A fight that's more sound-driven than dialogue occurs. and as a reward, the Cloud Queen grants Greg one wish. Sadly, the beast had word, meaning he couldn't go home with Greg, so he instead wishes for a switcheroo, leaving his older brother buddyless. Next thing that happens, the serious chap fell into the ice, and he was caught by a fishing net Beatrice and her big fish friend used. We then get a break from the forest stuff and see Wirt with a tape. He was going to express his feelings towards Sarah on Halloween night, which will likely severely backfire thanks to Greg. Jason also longs for Sarah's affection, and the tape ends up in the wrong hands. Oh, and a cop is joking about arresting people for the holiday. More on that in a bit. Moving on from that, desperately trying to avoid embarrassment, the boys must enter a party and retrieve what's theirs. Nothing goes swimmingly, especially spooky story sharing at the graveyard, and thinking they actually got busted by the police, the teens flee and the boys jump off a stone wall and survive that, plus nearly getting ran over by a train and getting KO'd at a river. Backstory is over as Wirt is with Beatrice's family and consumes 2 spoonfuls of dirt before heading out of the bird tree to rescue Greg. Kicking off the finale is Beatrice noticing Greg is doing tasks for the beast and could do nothing about it except inform Wirt. The woodsman has lit his lantern and he couldn't believe his eyes. Greg's becoming a tree, and the shadowy figure tried convincing the man to use the lad as lantern fuel, as well as told him all the Elderwood he's been using was other children's souls, because the gentleman had been meaning to save his daughter. Barely able to see his chums, Greg confesses the rock he had this whole time was stolen by him, and the beast offered a deal for Wirt to eternally be with his brother. Realizing how dumb it is, he instead frees Greg solo, letted the woodsman handle the beast, gave Beatrice the cure to her curse, and the siblings fell into the same water from earlier, and happily ever after everywhere for everyone. Side note, I should have mentioned this from the get-go, but the CN Studios logo at the end has this doodle of the boys, and I say it's kinda creepy. Then again, you can simply just exit the program when the credits roll. And with that done, it's time to discuss the outcome. Alright, so what did I get? Young ones will be delighted by Greg with his frog and silly rock. Most musical numbers are endearing. Tome of the Unknown, Schooltime Follies, Babe in the Woods are the most lighthearted chapters, and the few anthropomorphized characters are anything but bothersome. Regarding the grown-ups, the theme is mainly dark, fears to be expected, monsters are present, death's totally haunting, and the idea of using humans, let alone youths, as trees for life force is pretty concerning. So, is Over the Garden Wall for kids? My observation is maybe. I suggest kids must be at least 10 years of age to view this show, and they have to be accompanied by an adult, since the TV PG rating is fairly accurate for the miniseries. That, ladies and gentlemen, concludes the installment of Is This for Kids? Want the fiction to spread? Then please like, subscribe, share, and turn on notifications. Don't forget to also comment below and follow me on Instagram for teasers and thumbnail previews of future YouTube videos. Thanks for watching, look forward to seeing you again, and have a good night-o!